So today's video is going to be a little different. Typically, I'll do more of a vlog and you guys will go travel with me to do a car and I'll show you pieces of me working on the car. But today, I want to show you what I wash my cars with. And in one of my videos, I kind of gave a rundown, it was my second or third video, of the equipment I was going to get and some of the stuff that I already bought for my trunk setup, which I haven't finished. But we're going to do a review of my wash setup. So my Flexzilla hoses, pressure washer and garden hose, my McKillen's pressure washing handle, and my Ryobi 1200 psi pressure washer. So we're going to talk facts about the pressure washer. The best thing about it is compact and very inexpensive. I bought this for about 85 bucks on Amazon. It was used, and I was just trying to get things done quick and trying to spend the less amount of money when I was first starting off. So I picked this up and it was very great condition. The handle and the original hose line obviously were not practical, but they were a little beat up. But this was, as you can see, is still pretty clean. So I'm getting about 1.2 GPM. I wish I was somewhere around the 2.5. But with 1200 PSI, I think I have enough for cars. I haven't had any issues getting enough pressure to, clean wheels and cars that have been caked on for months. I've actually had a phenomenal experience with this. Like I said, I wish I'd got a little bit of more water, but it does for now. My favorite thing about the setup right now is that I have the McKillen's quick disconnect setup for the pressure washer line. So I have one for the garden hose. So this is my inlet, and then my output here to the pressure washer line. So this is all quick connect, so it makes the job 10 times easier when I'm setting up and I'm getting to somebody's house. I'm still working on getting the trunk setup finished for my car, just been limited on time, and for now this works. And I always make sure that if I'm not taking water with me, which I haven't in the last few months, I always make sure that I talk to the owner before making the appointment, make sure they're okay with me using their water. A lot of people offer half the time, or they'll hand me their garden hose. Same thing with power. I always read my generator, which there's a review coming on that soon, but they always offer, oh, you can plug into the house here, plug into the garage, and they'll bring me an extension reel. But let's talk about this pressure washer. So pros and cons of this little guy, right? Pros: portability, small, it's a nice color, nice build quality. I haven't had any issues with the fittings leaking. I've actually had issues with the fittings of the hose itself leaking on the inlet side. But as far as these things staying pretty sealed, they do have Teflon tape. I haven't had any issues with it shorting, cutting out, loss of water, loss of pressure, or too much air. Like, I haven't had zero functioning issues with it. I've heard both good and bad things about it. A bunch of people, oh, you're not going to get enough PSI for a car. When it comes to washing cars, I can't look at it as if I'm pressure washing a sidewalk or something. No, I'm just using a little bit more pressure than what a garden hose is giving me to take off all this excess dirt and make sure I'm getting everything off the surface, versus a regular garden hose, where you're getting 0.5 GPM of water, if that, a fraction of what this is giving you, on top of, there's no pressure behind it. So if not everything gets off the surface, and we're just creating scratches. This has been fantastic. Haven't had any issues with it. Con about it would definitely be the size of this power cable. Once it's in the trunk setup, we're going to cut it, splice it, and solder it back into a shorter piece so that I'm not running, I think it's like a 25-foot cable. One con about it would be the pressure. It's an 1800 PSI. Sometimes I feel like I'm being shortened, sometimes depending on what I'm connected to, or the water source, obviously. But I think 2,000 to 2,200 would be just a lot better, especially when I'm getting in the fender wells of, trucks or truck beds, that a lot of that, gritty material gets a lot of stuff stuck. And I've had, multiple truck beds where I had to stay on it for a little bit before I can start removing things. So that's maybe the only thing. Outside of that, I'll rate this thing an 8 out of 10, and I'll recommend it to anybody. Brand new, they cost $100. If you get the one with wheels, it costs $150. I didn't need the wheels because I knew in my mind what I was already going to do. So enough of this. Let's get to the other stuff. So now to two major important factors of this entire system is my water source line, or my garden hose, and I have my pressure washing line here, both from Flexzilla. Obviously they're a little bit different material. This one is just a very flexible rubber. I love it because it's very adaptive with kinks, and it'll kind of straighten itself out. You don't have to fight it when you unroll it. You can reel it up and stretch it out, and it'll lay flat the whole time. and it's pretty good about, you know, avoiding kinks. And then we got the pressure washer line. So far, my favorite thing about it is the durability. It gets dragged across asphalt and concrete all the time when I'm in driveways or on properties, and I've seen maybe one little, I found an abrasion here the other day, and I think it might have got caught on something. But so far that's it. It does, you know, it gets a little dirty and dirt kind of sticks to it very well because of the material that it is. Again, 2 separate items, same company, 2 different functions, and I have had 0 issues with. The garden hose there's not much to say about because, again, it stays pretty clean. You can see it's still bright. I've been using it for 3.5 months now. I have no signs of wear besides dirt on it. It's very easy to drain as long as I stretch it out as I'm rolling it or putting it away. It drains itself, or you can, you know, blow air through it to get it out the other end. It works phenomenal. These little, it has these plastic rubber sleeves on it that makes it easier for when I'm either taking off the coupling, because this one is the one that goes to the pressure washer, and a lot of times on the other end this one connects to the spigot or garden hose, and I don't always use a quick disconnect because, you know, I'm connecting to a water source from a house or a garden hose, and it helps when I'm, you know, this as a grip when I need to hold it down and let this spin or spin off or spin on, which leads me to the second part of my setup, these quick disconnects from McKillen's. I have had, as much as I love the setup and I will always use it for saving time, I've had several issues, particularly with the garden hose setup. It has, and it's hard to see, it's got a gasket in there. The gasket does not always stay in place. They bring you 2 options. They have a regular black one and they have a green one. The green one is supposed to withhold more pressure, and I don't always see that because most of the leaks that I get are from my inlet. So when I'm connecting my quick disconnect to my pressure washer, there's also a gasket in here that doesn't stay, and these bearings got worn out very quickly to where sometimes I have to spin this collar or the sleeve around the inlet to see if the bearings will fall into a better place. I recommend the use of it because of the ease of setting up, and you save so much time versus having to constantly always screw on and off and the threads get messed up. This, pull the collar back, plug it into my pressure washer, and I'm done. But this does leak. I'm not sure if it's the gasket or the bearings itself within the quick release. I don't know if it's the gasket or the bearings themselves within the quick release mechanism, but this one leaks. I haven't had any issues with the spigot or garden hose connection. For one, it just gets threaded on, and I have yet to separate it, so the bearings and all this are essentially just still brand new. So for the garden hose setup for the quick disconnect from McKillen's, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Mainly because of the leaking and the lack of resistance it has met over the last couple months. Again, it hasn't been taken off very much, and that gasket just doesn't hold up. And now we have the quick disconnect for the pressure washer line. Also, shout out to Flexzilla. You guys make great stuff, and I think everything line-wise I use is Flexzilla, and I have not been disappointed whatsoever. Just durable, easy to put away, easy to store. I can't say anything bad about it. Now, so for McKillen's quick release on the pressure washer side, I've had 0 issues with it. Gaskets are still in place. There's a little bit of corrosion on the inside if you look at it. It could be from the water here in Florida. It's very heavy on minerals and metals that they use to keep it clean because we don't have the best water source naturally. So there's a lot of stuff in our water. So any spigot, garden hose, anything that's a water source for clean water isn't the cleanest. And being that this is brass and nickel, it shows signs of corrosion, but gaskets are still intact, and this one doesn't leak. This one goes from the output of my pressure washer to my pressure washer handle. I've had 0 leaks and nothing to complain about. And speaking of pressure washer lines and fittings, this is McKillen's pressure washer handle without an extension, and it does have the quick release for the pressure washer tips, and it has a swivel on the end for the quick release coupling of the pressure washer line. So off rip, very durable. This thing stays in my wheel bucket just because I lack space in my tool bag with all my chemicals. So this stays with the brushes in the wheel bucket. But I have zero complaints about it. Obviously there's signs of wear and tear. I pick it up and put it down on the concrete all the time. It's not like I have a holster somewhere to put it down. With fighting with the sun and trying to avoid water spots, I tend to just pick it up, spray, put it back down, pick it up. So there's signs of wear and weathering on the side. It's just, it gets beat, but it's very durable. I've had zero issues with it. The swivel works very smoothly, and up until now I've had not even leaks or any issues with using it with the pressure washer line. The only thing I have noticed, it's advertised to where you can just walk the hose and it'll straighten out by itself if the pressure washer line isn't on a reel. It doesn't always work like that for me. Sometimes I have to connect it on one end, walk all the way out, and just manually twist so that the line can go ahead and unspool itself without being tangled or creating any kinks. I'll give this a 10 out of 10. Ease of use, durability, quality build. It's a very hard plastic. I know they're coming out with a version 3 or came out. It's been in the works. Again, I've had zero issues with it. It doesn't lag. It doesn't. Nothing about it has caused me any regrets on buying it or spending the money on it. It's probably my favorite tool in my entire inventory of equipment. So then I'll tell you about my least favorite, and I'll tell you why. So this here is my least favorite part of my washing system and piece of tool that I have. I think I spent like 35-40 bucks on this at the detailer store. It is I believe an MTCAA, I don't know, very long name, foam cannon. I hate it. Maybe after 5 or 6 uses, gasket just kept coming off from underneath the cap here. It would just slide off and I'd find it in random places, or when I take it off, it'd be inside the bottle or just sitting on the rim. And it just kept coming off and on, and it wasn't fun. So it's created a lot of leaks over time because I just haven't gone around to get a new gasket because I want to upgrade anyways. After that experience, I used it, like I said, maybe 4 or 5 times. The gasket was already coming undone, and then it just kept falling, and I didn't want to pick it up from the ground, put it back in the bottle, just for that the soap can collect that dirt and throw it through the cannon. Yeah, not fun. 2, it leaks a lot, and I'll show you. There's a lot of corrosion here. Not 100% sure if it's because of the gasket not being there, but it has these little breather holes up here, and it just constantly leaks if I turn it sideways or upside down, or if it happens to tip over because it's top heavy. And this has a lot of corrosion all over that brass. I did change the prop valve inside. I believe I went from a 4 to 1. Or I think I went from a 1 to 4 or 4. I don't know. I have to look up the specifications, but I bought them on Amazon and I replaced them on the inside so I can get more foam instead of water. But even then, with this being all the way tight, I still get a very narrow fan. Not sure if it's on my, how I proportion my soap and water, but I get a very narrow stream of foam versus getting a very open and wide one. And it's all the way tight, so it's not like it's big opening. I just haven't had a great experience with this. Sometimes it wastes a lot of the foam because it'll throw all the soap at once, and then all of a sudden you just get a bunch of water. So it does throw very well, but the shape I'm getting, the amount I'm getting, not a big fan of what it's been giving me. I do love that it's a quick release like most cannons are, so it goes straight into my pressure washer handle. But this will probably be put away when I upgrade, and will just be used as a backup in case whatever I upgrade to breaks or whatever the case is. I'll have this with me, but do not recommend. I think it's MTCAA or MTCCAA. I don't know. It is in, I think, video 2. You'll see that. But it's a 3 out of 10. So that's my setup for washing, and I gave my very vague opinions about what I use between my pressure washer line, my water intake hose, or my garden hose, my handle, and the foam cannon. And I give my entire setup as a rate as a whole. If I were to like, hey, this is the bundle to get, I give it a 7 out of 10 for functionality and ease of use and how fast you can set it up with everything put together. But there's several things that I would definitely upgrade down the line. Pressure washer, I'll only replace it if it breaks. God forbid it doesn't. I don't want to spend, I know there's great stuff out there that just lasts longer. But I'm not in a rush to, unless something does happen. As of right now, I definitely want to get reels for my lines once I finish my trunk setup. And I need a new foam cannon because that one's been driving me nuts. There you have it. I just want to give my honest opinions on not only the pressure washer, but what I use, how I use it, and an honest opinion instead of one of those, paid reviews or like, oh, giving you all these specs. Listen, it's great. There's amazing content out there and guys that dedicate themselves to giving you the specifications and the comparisons, this and that. I'm telling you what's worked for me and my opinion on it, a straight up opinion. I'm no expert on any of this stuff. I'm still learning this field, so I'll have links in the description for this setup specifically, and eventually I'll have a list of all the stuff I use, products and tools as well. And once I get my trunk set up, we'll do a whole run through of that along with some of my favorite products that I've been using and some of the things I've learned. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share this video, comment, interact. I love to interact with you guys, and I thank you for those who have been supporting me as of right now. My 64 subscribers as of June 12th, 2024. Thank you for those who watch. Thank you for those who share. Thank you to those who support my business as customers. If you see this video, if you don't, I appreciate you, and I'll publicly say that. So